Hello, it's June the 28th, 2026, flaming June as well. It's a really glorious sunny day. We've just had a few hot days and it's nice to have some warm weather after the spring we've had. It's been alternately cold, wet and windy, and then back to hot again and then cold again. The poor allotment's been blown to bits several times. I keep having to replant, so it's a little bit behind where it would normally be at this time of year. But now I think the weather's finally got nice. Summer seems to be here at last. I've replanted a lot of things. I lost some early crops, but I've done a lot of replanting now. So although things have been set back a bit, they'll soon be coming on, and I'll have just as good crops as ever, just a little bit delayed because of the weather. Anyway, let's have a look around. I'll show you each bed one at a time. Starting at the western end here, I've got my Kestrel second early potatoes. These are just starting to suffer from blight. I had some Wilgers a couple of beds along. I'll show you where they were in a second. That caught a very bad dose of blight, completely wiped down to the ground. I pulled them out. I had a crop, a bag and a half of spuds out of them. These are proving a little bit more resistant to the blight, but they're still going to suffer, I think. I can see it on the leaves. If I zoom in, these brown spots. So they'll probably be coming out within a few days. There'll be a crop of potatoes under here, so I'm not too worried. And it will give me the opportunity to plant something in behind them as well. And they're second early, so they would be coming out soon anyhow. And in the next bed there's a new planting of leeks for the winter. It's a variety called Musselburgh. It's a traditional leek. I plant them every year. They've always done me very well. You see they're wilting a bit. That's just the sun. It's been a very intense hot day. It's also a bit of a dry wind as well. I've been dunking water on them. Leeks are tough. They'll perk up within a couple of days. They'll be growing on nice and strongly. These have followed a stand of broad beans that I had in that grew through the winter. I usually do follow beans with leeks. The beans add nitrogen to the soil, and the leeks love it. Just grow bigger, better leeks basically. Oh. This construction here, it's a fine net, in case anyone was wondering, a quite strong agricultural, or allotment netting as they call it. It's got canes with bottles on the end just to hold it off the ground. Standard arrangement, I use it quite a bit. In here there is a large collection of brassicas, which I've been growing on partly in my greenhouse, partly in the open soil down below. Time to move them up. These have followed, and they've only been planted for a couple of days. These followed a crop of Wilger potatoes, the ones I mentioned at caught blight. So the potatoes came out. These have gone in straight away afterwards. Because it's hot weather, they're struggling a bit. I'm dosing water on them twice a day. You probably see they're all floppy. If I zoom in a bit, you see them. Poor things. But they'll recover. They're falling over. It's just a reaction that the plant has if it's feeling water stress. It just turns its leaves naturally away from the sun by flopping on the ground. So these will all stand up and recover, providing I keep putting water on them. Also got, and you can probably see, I put a little bit of netting over the top, tied on with clothes pegs, just to keep the worst of the sun off them. As for what I've got some Brussels sprouts plants at the front. Just behind them there are some green calabrese, green broccoli for the summer, some purple broccoli, purple sprouting behind them, and in the back a row of summer cabbages. This next bed, which is just being harvested, is a crop of elephant garlic. It's been growing on through the winter, nice and steady. It's ready to come up now. You can see that it's flowering and the leaves are turning yellow. Got a couple of plants that I've dug up here. There we go. That's what you get. Nice big garlic head. It's the size of an onion. In flavour, it's between an onion and garlic. Actually, I use it quite a lot in cooking. I can't grow conventional onions or small garlic up here. There's a nasty fungus in the soil, onion rot, which unfortunately only means that people like myself, because there's other allotments around here, people here can only grow either specimens like this, which seems to be immune, or shallots or something else that we can grow. But I've got quite used to using this in cooking a lot. It's almost an onion substitute for me now, so it's not a problem. And each year I seem to plant more and more of it. Just beyond the garlic here, I've got some more leeks. Again, I'm dunking water on these. They'll survive. Some cabbages just behind them there that I planted in the early spring. They're coming on. Let's have a look. Oh yes. Yep, that'll be alright. Again, under their mesh, nice and safe. Keeps the slugs away to a certain extent, and definitely keeps the butterflies off. If you don't put a mesh or something like this to prevent butterflies from the end of June onwards around your brassicas, certainly in a garden like this where there's a lot of butterflies around, you won't have any brassicas. It's essential. Moving on a bit, in this bed here I've got a little gourd, popped it in, just had a bit of space. The rest of it is a rather pathetic crop of main crop potatoes. A blight resistant variety called Sapo that I rather like. If I zoom in, there's all the other potatoes around have got these brown spots on the leaves. Not a trace of blights, they're good. But very set back by the cold weather early in the year. They are slowly coming back, but I'd expect to see them a bit larger by this time of year. But hopefully they will fill out. I mean, you don't pull them up until September time anyway, so they've got plenty of time to make a crop. And at the end here is one of several Three Sisters plantings. The Three Sisters is an American. In fact, there's only two sisters in this one. I've got three in one of the others. So that's a bad example. But anyway, Three Sisters, it's an American Indian idea. And it makes the most of space and companion planting. You plant sweet corn. Between the sweet corn you plant climbing beans. No climbing beans in this bed. It's perhaps a bad example. Some of the next bed I'll show you. Between the rows you can put squash plants, like this one here, right in front of you here. The idea is that the sweet corn grows nice and tall. The beans grow up the corn so they've got support. The nitrogen that the beans fix with their roots fertilises the soil, helps the sweet corn grow taller, and the squash just takes up the bottom layer of soil and of light so it can grow without interfering with its neighbours basically. The system seems to work anyway. It is a little bit vulnerable to cold weather, so not everyone grows Three Sisters in the UK. I do. I find it works quite well. Now the sun has come, the corn will fill up a bit. It's been set back a little bit by the weather. That's why it's looking a bit shorter than it should be, but it'll get there. These are my climbing French beans. They've been really fussed over because they're very sensitive to weather, and I knew the bad weather was coming, but I also knew they had to go in. So they were initially put in the ground just with fleece on top of them. Then when they were growing too tall and wanting something to climb up, I put the canes on, and I carefully wrapped all around the canes with horticultural fleece to keep the wind off them. And then they grew up inside the fleece. And just a couple of days ago I've taken the fleece off, because the good weather's here and they're starting to climb up the canes. Without that protection they'd be absolutely blasted now. But it was worthwhile, it was a lot of work. I usually do well with my beans here because it's quite a sunny spot, so hopefully these will be up the top of the canes soon and I'll have a good crop. Little standard peas. I've got peas at home that were planted at the same time, that are twice the height of these, so they were cut back a little bit by the cold weather. But they've got their feet in the soil now, and hopefully the sun will bring them on and they'll be up to the top there. Have a good crop soon. Another collection of brassicas, again under horticultural mesh to keep the butterflies off and the caterpillars hopefully. These were planted out during the cold weather. Some of them are still the same size they were when I planted them, but I'm hoping they'll get their feet in the ground. Some of them got replanted as well. They just couldn't take the cold weather at all. So the ones at the back are recent replantations. Again, that's why they're wilting a bit. Got a few raspberries. I've had to replant this bed. Problem's getting them established up here, but look, I've got fruit, so hopefully we'll get a crop in the end. Decent sized one anyway. Rhubarb's doing strangely well actually. It's not supposed to enjoy the sunny weather, but it got beaten back a bit by the cold, I think, strangely enough, but coming on now. And this is another variation on the Three Sisters plantation, a proper one. This has got sweet corn and beans, and not a squash but a courgette plant. All growing away again. These also had to have a little cage arrangement around them for a while just to keep the wind off. And it's been set back a bit. It should be twice as tall, but they are still growing and they seem to be getting their feet in the ground. Again, this sunshine, if it persists, will bring them on lovely, and hopefully we'll have a good Three Sisters. And that's June at the allotment. It's been an extraordinary growing season already, but as you can see, with a bit of work, you can recover from cold weather, and now everything seems to be growing on strongly. I'm hoping we can have a hot summer. It's looking good. It's looking good. It seems to have settled down. The weather's into a holding pattern now, and we can just wait for the sunshine to bring all the slot on and hopefully have some good crops. And whilst I've got the microphone, I'd like to just have a look around my back garden at home, because although the allotment's got the big growing space, a lot of things that apply to out they actually start off down here, either in one of my greenhouses or in a little nursery bed. Because down here it's a much more sheltered space. I've got some good hedges around, and it's actually done very well this spring, much better than the allotment, because it hasn't been so blasted by the weather. In particular, I've done very well for fruit. We've had some excellent crops of strawberries already, and blueberries just coming on. And of course there's my greenhouses too. I've got quite a lot to show in there, so we'll have a little tour around, and I'll show you the second half of the allotment. Starting here at the west end of the garden is a double row of peas, which is coming on quite nicely. A variety called Senator, a traditional variety that always does well. These are just coming up now. If I zoom in, you can see that the pods are starting to fill there. There'll be enough peas in this double row, both my wife and I, to have all the fresh peas we want coming up, and hopefully a good quantity to freeze down for the winter as well. At the foot here, just remains of a little seedbed with some brassicas in it. These have been planted up at the allotment and some around the garden here as well, and a few left just as spares in case anything goes wrong. Moving on to my big greenhouse. Everything's doing great in here. Even in the worst of weather, a greenhouse in an English garden is a wonderful thing to have, because it's a completely protected environment. You're in charge of the temperature and the humidity in here. And let's see what we got. We've got chilies. See some green chilies coming on the plant there. Nice and hot. I've been eating them. Aubergines. Just flowering there. The aubergines will develop in perhaps a month's time. Tomatoes, doing very well in their soil beds. Looking good. If I just zoom in, there we go, some tomatoes there. I'm waiting for the first ones to turn any day now, hopefully. More chilies and aubergines in pots down the end there. I find that these warmth lovers, both chilies and aubergines, love hotter climates you can get. They do well when they're up on a bench and also in pots. I've got some growing in soil in the greenhouse next door that aren't doing so well. They're lower down, but everything warms up when they're up there. And also a plant in a pot, the soil gets warmer quicker too. So they seem to be doing particularly well this year. Melon plants in the soil bed here. These went in following some early potatoes. I had a crop of first earlies in here in the springtime. They came out and the melons went in straight behind them. I'd been growing them on in pots, and they're just covered in little flowers now. Hopefully they'll produce a good quantity of melons. So another seedbed, again with some spare broccoli, and these are the very first cabbages that I was growing. I'm just keeping them here as spares in case they're needed. And finally, another stand of tomato plants, again growing in soil here near the entrance, looking good. Greenhouse number 2. This again has got tomatoes, chilies and aubergines in. Everything's in soil beds here. It's a prop genuine no-dig environment. It's just a greenhouse on a square brick base and soil that I've built up, layered no-dig. It's an experimental, completely no-dig environment. The tomatoes are absolutely loving it. The chilies and the aubergines, like I said, they're not doing quite so well. I put it more down to being at ground level than the environment they're in. They're picking up now. They're slow to start, but again the chilies have got fruit on, so they're not doing too bad. I'm hoping the aubergines will get a little larger as the season goes on. Some purple sprouting. They were grown in the greenhouse. These ones started off in the greenhouse. I planted them out about 4 weeks ago, and they're a winter crop. They'll grow on steady through the summer and into the autumn, and have purple sprouting in the winter hopefully. Now these are interesting. I did a little video. I planted some tomatoes in pots and then half buried the pots in the soil as an experiment. It's a sort of halfway house between having them outdoor grown and completely in the outdoors in the soil, and a pot grown one. It's an experiment. Hopefully it will have the advantages of pots and being out in the soil. We'll see. Anyway, the bottom line is they're flourishing quite well, producing fruit there, as you can see. So hopefully they'll grow on and up this cage that I put there. Strawberries, they produce quite well. A no dig bed here with a mixture. What have we got in here? Beetroots, turnips, courgette, 2/3 the way down there, another stand of peas, and some more outdoor tomato plants. These ones I planted quite early in the season, and they're in cages which support the tomato plants. I found the cages work quite well, and they were also wrapped in fleece until quite recently. The fleece protected them during those during the critical period in April and May, when the weather was quite bad and they needed protection. The fleece has come off now, and they're starting to get their feet in the ground. Hopefully we'll have a good crop here. You can do very well with outdoor tomatoes, even in English climate, if you look after them in the early stages. In case you're wondering what the shrunken heads are, I'm just drying some elephant garlic. This came from the allotment. Again, I just put it anywhere in the wind and the sun to dry. This just works for the moment. Strawberries in raised containers. I've had a good crop off these. They're just coming to the end of their crop now, and they're producing millions of runners now, which I've just chopped off because I've got enough strawberries, don't need any more. In case you're wondering what the strange shrouded lady is, this is actually a collection of blueberry bushes. And it's a allotment style. It's a sort of, it's not fleece. It's the thicker sort of fabric netting that you get. I use it particularly on this in this case instead of bird netting. I've had some rather sad instances when you've got a tall netted thing like this. Birds fly at the net and get themselves wrapped up in it. And I've had one instance a couple of years ago when a bird hung itself in the netting. Another one was very badly entrapped in it. So I don't use bird netting on a big construction like this now. This is way down at the bottom with bricks and just tied together with clothes pegs. So it makes a little tent so that my wife and I can undo the pegs, go in, pick our fruit, put it back up again. It seems to work quite well anyway. And it's just a wigwam of canes holding it up with beer bottles at the top. It kind of works anyway. It's just something I came up with on the fly last year and I've done again. Smaller version here, you see. What else have we got? More strawberries. Done very well for strawberries this year. This bed here. This was a bed of mixed salads I threw in it. It was a handful of old lettuce seeds and spring onions and radishes and things like that I put in. We then went on holiday, came back and found that the radishes had taken over. There are some little lettuces and things in here as well. And my wife's been pulling out the radishes to try and give the ones in between a bit more of a start. So there is a mixture of salad crops in here. Note to myself, broadcasting does work for salads, slightly less radishes. Another couple of outdoor tomatoes again, doing quite well in their cages. Hopefully have a good crop there. Another courgette in behind it. A couple of cucumber plants just in behind the tomato there. And some green calabrese here. Again, that's growing on nicely. A couple of cabbages at the end. So that's the garden. It's a bit of a whistle-stop tour, but as you can see, I've got everything in everywhere. And we're getting lots of food out of here and lots of fruit as well. So it's been a good year for strawberries in particular. One note, you're probably wondering what this strange structure is of logs in the middle. Neighbour took an ash tree down because I've burned wood for heating. I said, oh, I'll take that. Chopped it up, put this thing in the middle of the garden. And I then discovered I'd created, well, you get those little boxes with bits and bobs of wood in and cane and so on for bees to nest in, and they work quite well. Well, I've created the equivalent here for snails and slugs. They're loving it. And there's just been some of the things that are just next to it, and this is a lesson for me in the future. I don't know where else I could have built this drying stack. Don't do it next to your vegetable patches. These two cabbages here that are next to the pile have copped it a bit. And also something that's quite interesting. These peas that I've got here, they're doing okay, but I go through the ones that are closest to the wood pile on the other side there. They've been eaten by snails. They're just coming out of the pile of an evening, having a chomp, and going back in again. And the peas that are further away from it haven't had that effect. So it does show that you really have to keep your garden free of slug hotels, is what I built there.